Greetings, viewers all around the globe. This is Son of David, the voice of heaven. Today, I will be doing the continuity of the previous message. In our previous message, I did a lot of emphasis on scriptures, and I told us that I will tell us my life experiences regarding the subject, the things I encountered, I experienced that can be a lessons to many of us listening to me now. And today I've come to keep my word. I won't just start with my story, but I'll first of all read from the book of Matthew, then do a little enlightenment. And when I'm done with the enlightenment, then I will swing to my life experiences to help you understand this message better. First, let's look at the book of Matthew chapter 10. And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, before I continue reading, sorry if this is your first time, please, there is a message before this message. Check the comment section, there is a link there. It will help you to that message. When you are done, you can return back to this so you won't be listening to confusion. So for your own spiritual sanity and edification, I have given this counsel. First of all, pay attention to the first series of this message, then return to this, it will help you. Now, I continue my reading. And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Child of God, I want to have you know that if you are called, you should be called with power. A powerless minister is a minister that will run ministry in sarcasm, a minister that will struggle, a minister that will be ridiculed, a minister that will get stalked, a minister that will be befuddled on the way because he has no power. Is a minister that the people will not believe. And even if at all they want to work with you, they will control you because you are powerless. And how does power come? It is by giving God uninterrupted fellowship. So when you begin to give God uninterrupted fellowship, then you get uninterrupted power supply, because God is your transformer. Yes, God is your transformer. That is why Paul said, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. How does the mind get renewed? Through the word. Who is the word? God. So that transformation came as a result of the word. And the word makes us to understand that when a man is called, he is separated from the people unto God. So that is why Paul said, attend unto the Lord without distraction. So power will come when you give God uninterrupted fellowship. So when you give him uninterrupted fellowship, then you receive uninterrupted power supply. This is where miracle and healing becomes a lighting in the ministry of a man. And I gave us Jesus as example. He was always on the mountain. And when the people are ready and set to hear the word, his disciples will go up and tell him that the people are set and they are waiting for you. Then Jesus will come down to teach them that which he received in the secret place. And after teaching, he begins to heal. So the ministry was a move of God in his time, in his era, in a very amazing dimension. So that the people said, we have not seen it in this fashion. Why? There was power. So if a man is sent or called, he should also be called with power. And if a man must find power, there should be an uninterrupted fellowship with God. This secludes, this segregates, this discriminates, this isolates. Business. For the work of God is business already. That is why Jesus said, do you not know I will be about my Father's business? Another word for business is work. He said, I must do the work of him who sent me while it is day. For a night cometh when no man can do the work, when no man can work. So it is work already, his Father's work. And the interest is soul winning and to fulfill the purpose of God for him. And he is a mirror and a role model to every one of us. So every man that will succeed in ministry according to the will of God must use Jesus as a template and a role model. That is why Paul said, imitate me as I imitated who? Christ, not man. not man, not the Pharisees. As a matter of fact, he met Peter, he met James and John, those who came before him. Yet he refused to look at them because he saw some maloclusions surrounding their ministries, which one time he rebuked Peter for his errors. Are you saying that? So now he used Jesus as example. Now he said, and when he had called unto his 12, are you his? If you are his, then there should be power. Now, unto his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirit to cast them out, to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of diseases. This is ministry. This is the sign that must follow them that believe. For you to even be a son of God, the Bible said that you must receive power to become his son. As many as receive him, he has given them power to become the sons of God. How much more when you become a full-time minister, yet you still lack power? You are not a minister of God. You are a minister of men. We have many types of ministers. We have minister of petroleum. So with minister of work, different kind of minister in the world. So the fact you be a minister does not make you a minister in the spirit. They might disapprove your calling if you don't give them the audience they yearn for. So when you look at verse 5, we jump to verse 5. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritan enter ye not. Are you seeing discrimination? As a matter of fact, there was a commandment that constrained them from certain people, because at this time these people were not privileged to hear this news, to receive this sanctification and transformation. What does that tell us allegorically? You are not sent to every man. Those who you are sent to will not look down on you. Those who you are sent to will not despise you. Those who you are sent to will not look at your financial status before they receive the gospel from you. Any member that will mock a man of God is not his member. These are rebellious children who are sent as sheep, who are wolves under sheep clothing, sent to be among the sheep, that they may devoid the sheep from hearing the word. Look at the company of Korah, Abiram, and Nathan, for example. They were among the congregation that Moses led out of Egypt, yet they rebelled against Moses. How did God visit them? Ground opened mouth and swallowed them. Fire came from heaven and consumed those who mourned for them. Why? Because these people were not actually following. They were there to stop those who were ready for the mission. They were there to prevent those who were ready for God's purpose for them. So God had to what? Remove them. So when you are sent, you are not sent to all. Those who you are sent to will not look down on you because you are financially incapacitated. Yes. So you see, because you have been sent by God, his own will identify with you. Jesus said, my sheep knows me. I know my sheep and they knows me. They hear my voice and they grab. What am I saying? When a man is sent, he becomes an embodiment of Jesus. So when you speak, it is Jesus speaking through you. That is why I said, think not of what you will say, for at that very moment your heavenly Father will give you what to say. So it is the Spirit of the Father that speaks through you. So when you begin to speak, what these people will hear is the voice of their master, and they will have no choice than to follow you, not looking at your finance. So any man that will focus on your financial life to judge you, to mock you, is not a sheep. Yes, and is not ready to be won or saved. Now let's look at the book, at verse 6. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. That's the gospel, not prosperity. Prosperity is the will of the gospel, the mobility, what helps to enhance it. Are you getting it now? But the message is repent, for the kingdom is at hand. It has to do with salvation. It has to do with repentance. So a man that came with repentance should not be judged by finance. No. So it is because you have not gone to them with the message of repentance, but rather you went to them with the message of prosperity. So the people now will now be checking you that is preaching prosperity or teaching prosperity before they believe what you are saying. And when they find out that you are not prosperous, it will become a difficult thing for them to receive your message. Yes. If you go to them concerning their soul, you turn their heart away from the riches of this world, from mammon, the god of this world, and show them the God of their salvation. According to the words of Jesus Christ, they will have no reason to look at your financial status. But when you put prosperity in front, then you now bring them to consciousness of your financial status. So at that time, they can disrespect you. So you see, even your message is faulty. Yes, your message is blemish. If your message is true, if your message is holy, then there will be no need for them disrespecting you, because you have not come to them with prosperity, but you have come to them with salvation. And salvation has nothing to do with their prosperity life, because men can prosper in wickedness. Yes, the Bible says, envy not the man who prosper in his own ways through wicked devices. So there are types of prosperity. So when you make prosperity the message, they know they can get this elsewhere without following those principles you are giving to them. So they won't have to listen to you. Rather, they will see your sarcasm and mock you with it. But when you give them message of salvation, they can't find it anywhere. They know that only Jesus can give them true peace. Despite their riches, they lack peace. Most of them can't even sleep in the night. Yes, there is a saying in Proverbs that says the rich cannot sleep because of the multitude of their riches. Are you saying that now? Because they have a lot to protect. This one is just a natural burden. I'm not even talking about the spiritual aspect of their lives that attacks their peace. So you see, so now when you look at verse 7, and as he go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely you have received, freely you shall give. So it has nothing to do with merchandising the gospel. It has nothing to do with commercializing the gospel. It has nothing to do with monetizing the gospel. You receive it freely, give it freely. So you see, it has nothing to do with industry. So when a man begins to teach you how to run business, to support ministry, he is out of the way. And you can't leave the track and end at the right place. Never. You take the wrong road, you end up in the wrong place. So now look at verse 9. Provide neither gold, nor silver, nor brass in your purses. This is a significant verse concerning this message. Provide neither gold, nor silver, nor brass in your purses. He is not even talking about them not opening business now. He's saying that the money they have already, they shouldn't take it along. I don't know if you provide neither gold. Don't provide it. Don't make provision for this gospel. Let God be the one providing. Provide neither gold, nor silver, nor brass in your purses. You have pocket, you have bag. God is saying he's going to fill it. Do you have bank account? God is saying he's going to fill it. But don't be the one doing it yourself. You don't have to establish business for this. Provide neither gold, nor silver, nor brass in your purses. This is what Jesus said. But look at what Suleman told you. That you should set up a business. He's telling you provide for the gospel. But Jesus said, do not provide for the gospel, because he shall build the church, and the gate of hell shall not prevail. But when you be the one building it, hell will prevail against it. It was hell that already prevailed against the church in Jesus' time that made Jesus to say, destroy it and I will build it in 3 days. Why? That church was a church built with hands. Allegorically, let me paraphrase deeper. It was a church that was built by men. I'm not even talking about the physical structure now. No. Men brought their doctrines and their commandments. Remember, Jesus was the one who said this. They preach for doctrine, the commandment of men. Who was he referring to? The priests and the Pharisees, the scribe. Are you seeing? And the Sadducees. So now, he said they preach for doctrine, the commandment of men. It means they introduce the ways of men, the ideologies of men, the theology of men into the church, into their ministry. So when Jesus was pointing at the physical structure, the physical edifice, it wasn't that edifice he was talking about. He was talking of himself. And who is himself? The church also. So himself is also an allegory of the ministry we carry. But at this point in time, it was not the exact him. No. A corrupted copy of what he represents. So he said, destroy it. Because at this point in time, men contributed. Did you not read the story of Joseph and Mary? How the Bible made us to understand that Joseph did not know Mary. So long Mary was carrying Jesus, Joseph did not know her. Why? He must not contribute to God's plan, to God's concepts about Jesus. If he should not marry, the blood will transfuse So for that not to happen, he had to withhold himself from knowing her until Jesus came down, before he started having carnal knowledge of Mary. So what am I saying? When God gives you a vision and a purpose, do not contribute to it. It is God's vision, not your vision. When you do that, it's an abortion of vision. That is what Saul did. Go and slaughter every living thing. Animal, humans, he spared the king, spared the fattest of the animal, and started giving God good reasons. They were good to him, but they were abomination in the sight of God. So the things we see as light things are abomination in the sight of God if they are contrary to God's instruction. God said to Ezekiel, as I instructed, as I commanded. There is an instruction from the Spirit that you should behave in a particular way. When you begin to do the opposite, it becomes an abomination. It's sin of disobedience and it's witchcraft in the sight of God. This is how Samuel interpreted it in the book of Samuel. The sin of disobedience is witchcraft. Stubbornness, idolatry. Don't be stubborn to God's word. He said, provide not gold or silver, nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves. For the workman is worthy of his meat. For the workman is worthy of his meat, meaning he will pay you. That is why I told us in my previous message that it is God that compensates, it is God that pays, but he will use people. And those who have the heart of gratitude, those who God has used you to touch their life one way and the other. That is why Paul said in Romans, if we minister unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing if we reap your carnal things? These were rebellious, recalcitrant, reprobative members who received healing, deliverance, received the word of salvation, yet they were stingy. They were greedy, and even if they should do anything at all, they amplify it, they magnify it, they see it as a yardstick to control these men of God. So Paul began to reveal their nakedness to them, making them to understand that those things which they did, they shouldn't glory of, because there is something higher which the apostles has done for them already, which is the gift of salvation, the healing, the deliverance. If we minister spiritual things unto you, is it a great? So don't be highly minded. No, don't be puffed up with the pride of your goods and products, of your merchandise. Don't be puffed up by the pride of your finances, the things you think you are doing in the church, for we have done greater. Yes, that is why a man of God with integrity, with dexterity and prudence of the Spirit should know that those given to him are not the one helping him. No, before they came to you, you have been a blessing to them already. That was what prompted them and moved them to begin to sow into your ministry. And even as they are doing it, they are still doing it for their own self. For the Bible said, he that soweth in tears shall reap in joy. Beside that, Paul also said, I did not receive this gift because I needed them. No, but that it may abide to your own account. So it means they were not the one helping him. He was the one helping them, knowing fully well that he is a fertile ground, or he was a fertile ground for them to sow. And anything they do or they give to him becomes a massive blessing to them. He has this knowledge. That is why he told them, I didn't receive all these things because I needed them. No, I received it that it may abide to your own account. So when a man of God is driven by this revelation and fill his members with this solid and sound word of God, he will have no reason to fear this ignominy. No. That is why Titus said, teach that which becometh sound doctrine. When you give them sound doctrine, you don't even have to ask them. They will be moved by the Spirit. Look at Acts chapter 4 and 5. The Bible made us to understand that these people began to sell their land. Did you see anywhere where the Bible said the apostles rose and told them to do so? No! It just became a general doing. It became a thing of willingness. Are you getting it now? A thing of what? Willingness. And it was a general thing, without anyone telling them to go and do it. That is why when Peter wanted to judge Ananias and Sapphira, he said, before you sold this land, was it not yours? And after you have sold it, is it not in your power to tell what you will give and what you will not give? Are you getting it? So the apostles never tasked them. No. The apostles never detected this. No. It was the Spirit of God that stirred men whose hearts was in alignment with God. Men with heart of gratitude. Men who are ready to compensate, and they started doing it. So people who want to be like, who want to act alike, that they may receive glory for themselves, who don't actually have the heart went to sell and decided to disgrace themselves before the church. I'm talking about Ananias and Sapphira. And God used them as example. And we still have people like that in the church. They see people who have the heart of gratitude doing something in the church, and they are moved by what? Vainglory. And Paul said, flee from vainglory. They go for vainglory to still go and sow, and you think they are doing it because they care. No, they don't want to be left behind. They also want to receive the glory. Don't you have them in your churches? When you see one man who is actually moved, go and drop money or do something, you see others coming. Not all that comes with the heart of gratitude. Some of them came for vainglory. Yes, so God moved them to do that. They were not cast, because Jesus said a workman is worthy of his meat. They labored in prayer. They tarried in the upper room until they carried power. So when they manifested, 3,000 souls were won. And more souls continued to add to the church, as the Bible told us. So from there, when God was pleased with the work of the apostles because they obeyed him accurately, he stirred the people to sell their land so that there would be abundance in the church. They didn't have to tax people. So look at it. Don't provide these things, for a workman is worthy of what his meat. And into whatsoever city, verse 11 now, or town ye shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence. It means the gospel is not for everybody. It's for those who are worthy. So when you go to people, instead of them to pay attention to the mysteries you are teaching them, they start looking at your financial life, start looking at your tattered clothes, start looking at your tattered shoe. Such people are not worthy of the gospel. Leave them. You don't have to impress them. You don't have to force things on them. You don't have to earn their respect. You don't need their respect. Yes. So what was the saying? If a man of God does nothing and the members knows he depends on their pocket, he won't have respect. But when he start a business and they know he doesn't depend on their pocket, then he will earn respect. All the saying is baloney. Yes, from the beginning to the end of that saying, nothing is reasonable there. That's why I told us in my previous message. First, your goal is not to look at pockets. Your goal is to look at their souls, save their soul. Then let God be the one compensating you. And when souls are won, God will stir men. The Bible said, and God stirred the spirit of Zerubbabel and Joshua the high priest and the whole people, and they went to what? Gather wood to build the temple. So God has the ability to stir spirits. Study several scriptures. You see where God stir people. God stirred the spirit of Phinehas, and he executed judgment on those who committed whoredom. So it is God who stirs people's spirits. So your focus should be on how to please God, not to please the people. So you are not sent to win everybody. No, you are sent to win those who God counts worthy. And he said, if you read further, he said, when you enter a place and they despise you, they reject your message, dust your feet and walk away. We don't move to earn respect from people or to please them. And if you still read further, the Bible said they will persecute you for the sake of the gospel. So Jesus was already informing his. If you are his, look at what he's saying now. That you will be persecuted, you will be accused, you will be slandered, you will be beaten for the sake of the gospel. That is why, despite all the effort your pastors make to earn glory of this world, they are still ridiculed. Yes, because they identify with the gospel. They associate with things related to Christ. And if you identify with Christ, Satan will shoot you, whether you try to defend yourself or not. Are you getting it? So whether you try to defend yourself or not, Satan will shoot you. So to avoid you failing God and missing your purpose, what you need to do is to what? Stick to his word. Stick to the word of truths and fulfill the will of God for you, not the will of man. Yes. Now back to the story I plan telling you people. Now, I have several experiences regarding whatever I'll be saying now. But let me just use this one for example. Many years ago, then I was still schooling. So I was working with a certain man of God. So while I was working with this man of God, I was like the battery there. The battery. You know, God can make you the battery and make someone else the phone. And without the battery, the phone will be useless. Yes. So I was like the battery in that place. So while God was using me in that place, all of a sudden, they were moved to jealousy. I'm talking about the pastor, the wife. I gave God uninterrupted fellowship, but he gave God interrupted fellowship. Yes, he was mindful of his wife and children. Those things distracted him, but I left my parents for the gospel. And he was also running business, which is school business. According to him, God instructed him to do so, and God was helping him. But beside these things, he had fear in him, worries within him that prevented him from obeying God's instruction. What was that instruction? Go out for evangelism and win souls. Each time he will sit with me and be telling me that look at what God is telling him, but he's just trying to settle his family, to make his family okay before he will go out. Now he put his family in front, not God in front. Are you seeing that now? But the young boy he was talking to, then I was 15, 16. The young boy he was talking to left his biological family for the gospel at that tender age. So you see the big difference now. And I was a fasting machine by the grace of God. God was using me in that aspect. He gave me the grace to fast and to pray. So this grace of mine stirred the youth in the church and ignited them, that many of them became fasting machine also and prayer machine. So at a point, God started using me in the prophetic, in the deliverance, and in the healing in that ministry. At a point, I started an all night in that church. That all night, we gather more people than the normal service, because strangers heard of the miracles that God was doing. They heard of my fame, so they were coming. So the man of God was moved with envy, especially when the wife and children started telling him that the church we built, this small boy just came out from nowhere, and people now respecting more than us. Some of them do come to me for dream interpretation. So because they saw my ability in that aspect also. So they would rather come to me. Even his children would rather come to me to get interpretations, because they realized that my interpretation was more accurate than his. So he was moved with envy. So they started fighting me. At a point, he stopped my all night, which I gained his permission to start. I never did anything without his consent, even though God engraced me more than him. So anything I do, I first of all take his permission. I tell him what God said. So when he gives me permission, I start. So when he saw the growth of that all night, he said I should stop the Monday all night, I should stop the Friday all night, so that those that are coming to the Monday and Friday all night will come to his normal evening service. He starts by maybe 5 and ends 7, 8. But my all night starts by 12. Maybe sometimes till 6 a.m. Are you getting it now? So he says so that those people will start coming to his evening service. Then I should only be holding Wednesday all night, because it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, weekly. So now we obeyed him, but I wasn't happy, because I knew he was moved by envy and he sacrificed the service of God. I won't call it my service. God was the one using me in that service. He sacrificed God's service for his own benefit. So, but we obey because he was the founder of the ministry and the general overseer. We were two guys who God was using then. So now we obeyed him. Then at a point, when he realized that people were not even coming to that evening service, though he sacrificed 2 days from my schedule, and then they were waiting for that Wednesday, all of a sudden he saw more glory, more fame, and was hearing mighty things. Then the next thing, he removed me from being the head of that program and made another person the head for no good reason. So when I saw this, I was heartbroken. So I left and I went home that night. That night, Apostle Paul, Apollos, and other saints appeared to me in my room. So they were telling me that the heaven is not happy. That program is like continuity of their ministry. I'm talking about the apostles now. It's like their program. So I'm the one now representing there. So they were not happy after they complained. So I realized that hatred came, and they started accusing me, calling me names. They said my prophetic is demonic, my tongue is demonic. So a brother asked them, his deliverance gift too, is he also demonic? Does demon cast out demon? Because demons were speaking and crying out, just the way they watched Emmanuel TV and see those things happen there. So now these people are good at criticizing people with power. And I've taught us here before, when you do that, you will hardly see power. Now beside that again, those things I just complained, the distraction and limited fasting and prayer life, which my life is opposite of his. So God was using me more than him, but he was moved with envy. And because of that envy, he allowed Satan to use him to terminate the program of God there. So God now told me that many years ago, there was a test that came to his life, and this test he couldn't pass. So this test now postponed the days of his glory and manifestation. When the hour drew near, he was not still prepared. So for this thing to be, God had to send me to his ministry, to use me now as the battery there to power these things into reality. But himself did not know, and out of envy now he destroyed something that would have glorified his ministry by his own hand, being moved by the wife. And the Bible said, a good woman buildeth her house, but the foolish destroyeth it with her own hands. So, and before this happened, God used me to warn him and said that the devil wants to destroy his wife and use the wife against him. So after this revelation, not too long, he started this. So until God asked me to leave the place, because they kept on accusing me and saying no manner of things. So I left that place. Now, what is the lesson to learn here now? Uninterrupted fellowship, number one. Uninterrupted fellowship. For no reason should you prioritize anything. When you give God uninterrupted fellowship, there will be an uninterrupted power supply from the Spirit, because God is your transformer. You must plug yourself in Christ for you to see flow of power and accuracy of His Spirit. Now, at that time, they were not paying me. Like, I'm talking about the compensation that comes from a man of God to a man of God. Now, nothing of such, yet they were angry and said, the small boy that came that day, he wants to take over. They were not paying me. Nothing was coming from him, but I was working, and through me souls were won into that church. Today when people come, how did you come? Him. Tomorrow people come, how did it come? Him. It was so obvious that my presence in that ministry transformed the place. And those I met, both ministers, youths, they were all looking unto me because they saw the grace of God in my life. Now, in all of this, I respected him, and I was not looking at pocket or whatever. I never complained for one day. Rather, I was even thinking of supporting the ministry financially if God blesses me. The little I had, I sold to him. No matter how little, 500 naira, 1,000 naira, no matter what I had, I go to him and say, Daddy, take. Are you getting it now? So I'm trying to show you how I was, but the devil used them to send me away. As soon as I left that place, the church crumbled. Yes, it crumbled. So a brother came to me and said, as soon as you left, that all night was the first thing that died. People stopped coming to the all night when they heard that you are no longer there. Then the ministry again, I'm talking about the church now, people started leaving. So now who did they do? They are safe. Because they were moved with envy. They refused to acknowledge the grace of God upon a man's life. That is why I told us in my previous message, when you refuse to do what a man is doing and begin to see the man's glory, if you don't have the ability to bear his glory, you might start accusing him. Are you seeing that now? So the Lord sent me to another man of God. And this man of God, before I came to him, he has heard of me from a teacher of mine. He was my government teacher in school those days, but he acknowledges me when it comes to spiritual things. He goes to me for counsel and the rest. So this teacher told this man of God how much God has been using me. So when I came to him and said, God said I should come and work with you, he was so happy. He knelt down and was worshiping God, thanking God that he didn't just send a man to him, but he sent a man of this dimension to him. These were the things coming out from his mouth. So while I started working with this man, God was using me again in so many ways to grow his church in a very strange way. In one of my delivery, I raised a prayer point prophetically that a man will be passing and no man will invite him. He will just enter the church by himself. After I gave that utterance and we prayed about it, that same week a man came. And when this man was asked, who invited you? He said no one, that he was just passing. And the Spirit told him to enter that place. This man was a very big man. I mean a very big man, so connected. And this man came to this pastor with the intention to be using him for mighty programs. He has this a body that are willing to sponsor young, fireful ministers. They will be the one supporting everything financially. All they just want is for you to be the face. And their target is so winning, revival. Are you getting it now? So he saw that this man of God had this fire, this prophetic fire, and the rest of them. So he was interested in the man of God, but he was not so grounded in the word. And because of this, when he gave me platform to teach just once, the church was turned upside down. I don't know who went to him and told him, if you allow this guy to continue to teach, the heart of your members will be turned to him. So, because even after the service, he came to me and said, what was that? That message was so powerful, so deep, he kept on repeating it. If care was not taken, if I'm this type of person that something can easily get into, I'll become proud I told him that's nothing, that's God at work, not me. So I rejected those commendations coming from him. But little did I know that after that day, I won't be privileged again to teach. Why? Because of these reasons I gave. So later I began to discover I was seeing things and I was realizing things. So one day I went to him. I said, if you will wait for me to use my mouth to tell you to allow me to teach, it will be a waste of time. I said it playfully and he was laughing. I read his heart. I knew what was there. So I just gave him that message to understand, to make him know that I know what is going on. But I never said anything again. So at this point in time now, I became his intercessor, his moderator, not a teacher again in the church. Are you getting it now? So each time he's going out for program, I will go with him. Now, God was using me despite I was not teaching, but my presence transformed the church. My presence would transform the church. And God was showing me that beside these things, there are other things God wanted me to help him achieve in that church. But his envy again blocked the way. I saw a goat trying to eat that which he shaded under the sun. He was trying to dry. So the goat was eating it. And when I tried driving the goat, he stopped me from driving the goat. When I came out of this revelation, I knew God was telling me that the devil is busy attacking his ministry. I had the ability to scare this devil away, to destroy the demons or the witches that are assigned to destroy the vineyard God committed to him. But his envy made him to prevent me from achieving this purpose. And there was no sound message there. So the people were still carnal. And you can't tame carnal people through just prophecies and healing. No, when they stop seeing these things, they will run away. But if you give them true message, they will stay with you even in the days of your tribulation. Are you seeing that now? So while we were working, this man knows that I'm a full-time person. In those days, I will even sacrifice my academy. I don't go to school as often as I should go. I fulfilled days just to meet the service and, to occupy. So even my classmates will be laughing at me, saying that he so loves church that he doesn't go to school the way he should go to school. He misses class, all those kind of things. So it became a mockery and a popular saying in school. I wasn't looking at all those things at all. I focused. I was laboring. But each time God blesses us after the labor, he will convert everything to himself and to his mother. His mother became his assistant when it comes to sharing. But when it comes to laboring, I'm his assistant. So this thing he kept on doing, that his conscience was judging him, that he couldn't bear. He will come to me and say, oh, please, I hope you are not angry. Be patient with me, please. I will do something. I'm waiting for more things. Those kind of crazy excuses. So each time he says these things, I will make him more comfortable by telling him that, no, I'm not offended at all. And honestly, I didn't take it to heart, because to me, I believe God should pay me, not him. But knowledge tells me that God is already paying us. And if he has the heart of the apostles, I shouldn't be starving or lacking. This thing continued until God started giving me revelations, because I was complaining to God that I'm laboring, but it's as if you abandoned me in the aspect of provision. So God will give me vision that so much came in to him. But instead of him to give to me, he will be telling me in that same vision that wait for another. And I see much with him already. He has eaten, his mother has eaten, and there is still remnants that is not touched after he has eaten and his mother has eaten. Yet he will be telling me, wait for another. This revelation kept on coming. So when I kept on seeing these revelations, I didn't still take it to heart. I will just do as if I didn't see anything, because I didn't want to be distracted. I didn't want my heart to be contaminated. I focused. I kept on working until the body was so pressed on me. I want you to imagine now, a young guy like me at that time, no work, nothing, no family to support. So I want you to think of how much burden will be on me in the aspect of need, lack, and want. So at a point, a friend of mine invited me to his working place and advised me to join him in his place of work. So from there, I can begin to support myself. So when I saw that the man I was working with is a voracious glutton who is not willing to repent from his covetous doing, so I decided to join the guy in his working place, and I was still faithful in the church. I left him for God. I left him to his continual promises that never came true. So when I went to this place, and it wasn't God who sent me, I'm showing you now my mistake. In that place, I lost my glory. Some of the people I was working with there, my colleague there, these are people who came to me in the church where God was using me. And they had this dread for me, this fear for me, and this respect for me, which I never got by human strength. No. I was very simple and easy to access. I mixed up with people of lower status. I'm talking about spiritually. But yet, they have this fear because they were just seeing this glory of God in me. But as soon as I entered there, there's what they call see finish in pidgin language. So they became so familiar, that glory left. I was even oppressed, attacked. Child of God, I was seeing money, but I can't give account of what I was doing with those money. The only thing I know is that I can feed myself. Those days, I was trying to record song. I couldn't record all my time there. At a point, I started getting attacked, both within me, like no peace, and physically, criticism, confusion, trouble, oppression, all kind of things were just happening to me there. I knew that God wanted me out of that place, but I stubbornly stayed there. What was my anger? When I was working for you without any business, any other business being done by me, nothing came. I was waiting, nothing came. The drunkard you asked me to work with was busy converting everything. Are you getting? And didn't mind me. And for me not to be corrupted by what he did, not to be affected, not to be bittered, I had to just do something and remove my mind from all of those things. Despite these reasons, my spirit was still convicting me, flogging me. I was still stubborn there. So a certain woman who knows me, who saw me there, said to herself, what is this guy doing here? He is bigger than this place. He shouldn't be here. What is he doing here? So she now said to God, do something to him that will make him to walk away from this place. So at a point, after this woman said this, unknown to me that he had this in mind, something serious and severe happened there. So humiliating and painful that I could no longer tolerate again. So I said to myself, I will return home. And I will not come here again. If I will die of starvation, let me die of starvation. If God cares about me, let him redeem me. So I left that place with that decision. So that woman waited for days and didn't find me. So the day I came to visit her, she said, why have you not been coming? I gave her my reasons. He said, I told God to do something terrible to you that will make you leave that place, that you're not supposed to be there. You are bigger than that place. Are you getting it now? So that is how before I left that place, a certain brother came to me and said, do you know I used to see you like God? After God is you. Like I have this fear and dread for you. But since you came here, I don't see you like that again. I see you as an ordinary person like myself. Child of God, what happened? I went to that place without God. I entered that place because he didn't send me there. I went there on my own. So what was God expecting of me then? To be more patient. Or report what is happening to him and let him be the one to judge the case. But out of frustration, I went to work when he didn't ask me to go and work there. And while I was working there, I wasn't giving him good attention because I will go there in the morning and leave there by 6 or 7. So what time will I pray? What time will I study? When I return back, I will be so broken and weak. So you just do normal prayer and sleep. And read few chapters of the Bible and sleep. It doesn't make sense. This is the same thing your pastors are doing. That is why they can't see power. So the spirit was attacking me to leave that place. As soon as I left that place, do you know what happened? A brother was sent. When that brother came to me, he said, God said I should give you 50,000 naira. I was shocked. When that brother left, few weeks later or a month later, he came back again and said, God said I should give you 150,000 naira. Another brother was sent specifically to come and help me record my song. He said, you sing, I like the way you sing. How much does it take for studio session? I told him. He took me to the studio and paid. But all my time there, I couldn't record anything. Yes, I was seeing money, but I couldn't record. I can't give account. I was striving to see if I could record a track. I couldn't until I left that place. And when I left that place, that help came. Are you getting it now? Without me asking. So what am I trying to tell you? When you are going through tough time, God allowed it so, as I taught in my previous message. When good time comes, nothing can abort it. You can be inside a hole and your helper will look for you there. So if you are not called to do ministry work, walk away. If you are called to do ministry work, stay in and don't let anything to distract you. There were people in those days who were mocking at me, saying you are not doing anything and you are doing God's work. You are wretched, you are this, you are that. After many years, child of God, recently those people are all faded away. Yes, They are all financially incapacitated. The business that they used to glory with those days are all crumbled. And finally, they are disgruntled. But they see my rising. I'm not saying that I'm too big, but by the grace of God, God has blessed me to a level. So when they see me now, they are shocked. And they are wondering, how did this guy rise like this? Looking at my countenance, they say, if we should check him way back, he wasn't like this at all. He was so lean, like sugar cane. Are you getting it now? But now he's so chubby. What was happening? So I don't have to explain to them for them to know that God is at work in my life. I don't have to do analysis for them to know that God's glory has come upon me, that the days of Ichabod has ended, and this is the days of his later glory. What am I saying, child of God? What I'm saying is that if you are going through hard time, God allowed it so. He is doing it to test you. He is doing it to prove you. And if time of abundance should come, God still knows how to send people to you. He knows how to send raven to you. So that same God who took me through a process where I started experiencing scarcity, hard time, the same God also sent people to remember me and pick me out of that low dungeon where I cried from. Jeremiah said, out of the low dungeon, I cried out. No one heard him, but God heard him out of the low dungeon. So in those days, it might look as if nobody cares. Even those that you want to approach, they will start mocking at you with your condition. They start giving you crazy excuses. They will tell you, is this one work? Is pastor work? Are you getting it now? Because no evidence yet. I'm talking about financial evidence. But when God starts blessing you, then pastor work becomes work. Yes. Are they not big generals in the world today? Does anybody ask them if they are doing any work or if pastor work is work? Their life makes people who are criminals to come into ministry for criminology intention. But those who are going through bad time, their pastoral life scares people away from ministry. So what does that tell you? This world is driven by financial material evidence, but those who love God are driven by spiritual evidence. So when God was sending them, I'm talking about Jesus now, sending the disciples, he wasn't sending them to those who are driven by material evidence. No, he was sending them to the lordship of Israel. Those that will hear the message, they will return back to the place, to the track. Are you seeing it now? They will feel remorseful and return to their maker. These are the people he is sending us to. So you should know the target. You should know those who God is sending you to. Else, you will be frustrated. That brings us back to why I said that Suleman is distracted. God told him he's distracted, and I explained, because he does not know his purpose. He has lost his calling. He is fulfilling something else. He has become materialistic. Yes, because he doesn't know the purpose. So he has gone for the wrong people. He associates with the wrong people. He's chasing the wrong people, chasing wrong goals with wrong intention, not the right one. So I won't be able to share all my experiences. This is a summary of many things I've been through. So you should understand, if God allows you to go through. If you are working with a man who is behaving like this, don't pick offense. Don't because of that leave your place of assignment. Stay there until you fulfill. You are working for God. If he wants to pay you, he can use strangers to pay you. Finally, when I went to Lagos one time, my first time of going to Lagos, I had nobody there. I was sleeping in the church. So nothing to feed with. I didn't even know what God had for me then. So I had to, David said, let my father and mother abide with you until I know what God has for me. So I didn't know what God had for me there. So I was still praying, trying to get direction from God. So while I was sleeping in this church, I went to a friend. He says Indomie in the junction. At the junction. So I went to him and said, I need something to be doing so that I will be able to provide for myself. So he called one of his friends who is a motor boy, like he supplies water to people. He works in a pure water company. So he told him about me. The guy liked me. So he said, okay, I'm going to take you to my boss, my madam. So when we went to the madam, I greeted the madam. After seeing the madam, then he said I should go, that he will get back to me. So, only for the boy to come to me and said that his madam said he can't employ me. With what reason? He said I cannot send him message. That guy is not someone I can send message. I said, I said, but that woman does not know me. I don't know her. And even when I went there, I was humble. I greeted her as I should. Child of God, even if you are not humble, for instance, you are not humble. If You need job. You will act as if you are humble. You will pretend to be humble because you need that thing, especially when you are desperate. Are you getting the picture now? Now, there was no physical reason for she to reject me. She doesn't know me, but she told the boy, that guy is not someone I can send message. Okay, did that guy bring me to her for her to start sending me message? No. Strictly business. To follow him, once he get to places where he should supply, I will help him to be dropping. That was the business now. Not for her to be sending me message. But she was saying that guy is not someone that I can send message. For that reason, I won't accept him. That was the reason. So the guy was trying to tell the woman, he's a good guy. He's even a child of God. Is this, is that. Despite all those reasons, this woman did not hear. I smiled. I knew that God didn't want me to work there. That it wasn't that woman that spoke. It was God that stirred her to decline me. Because when God chooses you to send you, he won't allow men to send you. You can't send a king. Yes. So now, I waited patiently until God instructed me on what to do. That was when my purpose began in Lagos. So at that time, he wanted me to wait. But because of flesh, what to eat, what to drink, I had to look for something, but it didn't work. That's why I told us in my previous message that even if you give them that counsel, if God doesn't want it for them, if they establish that business, it will spoil. Yes, nobody will buy. And beside that, thief will smuggle into there and steal your goods. You will be passing, they will stop you and take your business money from you. They will attack you. So it's not by establishing business. If God has not sent you, don't do it because you won't prosper. And if you are getting any prosperity that is not God's, you have already lost your purpose. You have sold your salvation, your ministry to the gods of this world. Yes, Jesus, bow before me and I will give you the word. So the fact that you started that business and you are prospering does not mean that you are good with God. No. You might have lost your purpose. You might have lost that power. That is why we have a lot of businessmen as pastors. But look at their life, no power. No power. They can build a very massive church, beautiful church. Everything is well arranged. All the instruments you need, they are there. They can even host a program and tell people that they will share food. They use food to attract people. Every service they give newcomers mineral and gala just to keep bringing people. But when you check the service, no power. Child of God, no matter how a man announces his calling, if there is no power, he's not with God and God is not with him. This is where I draw the curtain. This is the voice of heaven, Son of David. Wisdom is crying in the streets of YouTube.